Good morning, live from Costa Rica. Thank you very much for joining us. If you're watching on Facebook, please give us a like. If you're watching on YouTube, please subscribe to the channel. My name is Matt Rosensteel. I work with Coldwell Banker Tamarindo Realty. I've lived and worked in Costa Rica since 2008. Today I'm joined by two very special guests, Randy and Lisa. Recent arrivals here in Costa Rica. Lisa and Randy bought their property exactly 2 years ago in the community of Playa Junquillal here from where we're broadcasting in the offices of Latitude 10. Today I wanted to get their opinion on some questions so that clients who are deciding whether or not to purchase here in Costa Rica can get your feedback and ideas.
Nice.
Let the record show this was actually Randy's idea, so he's the one that is responsible. Today, to put this in the context of a Costa Rica question, we're going to be asking, should I move to Costa Rica? But really just talking to Randy and Lisa about their experience to get more opinions than just mine, because clearly I'm biased. If you have any questions, Randy and Lisa, please feel free to email me at matt@cbtamarindo.com. You can also put your comments and questions in the comments section of the Facebook video. We'll be answering anything that pops up at the very end of our session today. And without further ado, let's start talking. Thank you very much for coming in this morning. I very much appreciate it. Yeah. Anyway. Today we're gonna ask Randy and Lisa to talk about the following topics. First of all, Costa Rica versus other countries and how you decided on Costa Rica. Second of all, how they chose Playa Junquillal, this community where we're located right now. Third, how the reality of Costa Rica has lived up to your expectation. Then we'll go on to asking them about some of the challenges that they found of the purchasing process, the whole rigmarole of buying your property, and finally, what advice you might have for other people who are thinking about taking the plunge. Okay? All right. So first of all, I wanted to ask you two to give sort of an idea to our audience out there. What was your goal when you started thinking of buying a home abroad, or really, what was your motivation?
Well, we live in Washington State, and we get a lot of bad weather. It's overcast a lot of the time. We don't have any beach, and Lisa grew up in California, and she was always out on the beach. And I just like traveling, so anywhere would have been good for me. But Costa Rica wasn't even our first goal. It was Ecuador.
Really? Yeah. And so let's go right into the next question. You were looking for, I think tons of people start out with that. We just want warm, sunny beach instead of overcast Washington State. What did you visit Ecuador, or what sort of considerations did you weigh?
I have friends that actually live in Ecuador, and some of my golf buddies that live there. So they went there because they can golf all year, and they say the weather's good. The cost of living there was fairly inexpensive, and so I was thinking of it on that side. And so since I was looking at that, we've been going to Hawaii, we've been going to other places, and so Ecuador just seemed like a good fit for me. But then Lisa took a year and did research, and I'm sure she can tell you what she researched.
Yeah, what did your research show?
Okay, well, I followed International Living, I think. I had magazines and stuff, so I did a lot of research about different countries, Ecuador, Panama, Costa Rica. And the plan was that we were going to visit each of those countries and then decide. And so it just turned out we came to Costa Rica first.
Okay.
And just fell in love with it.
Oh, that's great.
Yeah.
So you never ended up visiting another country during the research phase?
We didn't.
Nope.
We didn't. In fact, our very first visit here is when we made an offer on the house. So,
Wow.
and we only looked at maybe one other area of the country,
Okay,
which was over near Manuel Antonio.
okay. And actually, going on to our next question, I was going to ask you about this region, which is Guanacaste, the northwestern province of Costa Rica, versus Manuel Antonio. How did you?
Okay, well, it's beautiful over there. I mean, it really is. But for me, I don't know how Randy felt about it, but here in Junquiao, it's just such a good vibe. Everybody's so nice and it's laid back, and it's easy to get to from the airport. Whereas over there, it would have been a major ordeal. Every time we came in, we'd have to fly into San Jose and drive like 3 hours. So here, it's just a short hour to the airport.
Yeah,
It's
that's
very, convenient.
cool.
So, after traveling a whole day, the last thing you want to do is get in your rental car and drive like for hours. So I'm really happy.
I told Lisa, I said I want to be able to leave the airport and be on the beach in an hour.
Yeah.
Because other than that, we wasted a whole day traveling.
Absolutely.
The whole day is going to be since we got here.
Totally. And the airport Randy and Lisa are talking about in Liberia, which has airport code LIR, was opened in the early 2000s or late 90s, and it's really fueled sort of development and the expat community growing in this area. And that's exactly why a lot of people are flocking here, is the convenience. You can fly into Liberia and be at one of dozens of beaches within an hour, hour and a half drive. Playa Junquial, where we're located, is about an hour and 15 minutes, hour and 30. Tamarindo would be less than that, 45 to an hour, and there's tons of beaches that you can get to. The airport's growing every year with lots of new flights. That's great. I love the fact that you sort of stopped your search after seeing Junquial. It just felt right.
It felt like I'd been here before. Like, I don't know, it's just really.
And we went to a few other houses just in this area, but we got here, and the first thing that we did, I think that's when we met you. So we got here, and we had a different realtor, sorry, but we had a different, and you were the listing agent. So when we met you, you came in, and we didn't feel like it was a pressure sale. We didn't feel like we had to buy anything. We just looked around, and you showed us the house. And you sat outside while we walked through, and amongst ourselves, we were saying, "What do you think? What should we do?" And Lisa was sold on it the minute we drove up. She was like, "Oh, this is my house."
Wow.
Yeah. It was like the house of my dream, really.
Awesome.
Yes, like I said, I've been there before.
I'm very glad you felt that way. And your realtor, to give credit online, Larry Graziano, who was representing you. I was the listing agent. I think that one of the reasons we really love what we do is we don't have to pressure people, and that's really not sort of our operating mode. You do see a lot of times in other places, I hear stories of really these sort of incentives that people are trying to use to force people to buy, free plane tickets or whatever to get people down, or even selling things without them seeing it first. And really, I think that that's huge. In real estate, it's exactly the opposite of what you want to see. You want to feel that you get to make your own decision.
Yeah, I thought he didn't want us to buy a house. You guys act like, exactly the time here, because we got absolutely no pressure. We just came in and, we looked around, and, you were good enough to meet us here. We were on our way to the airport because we hadn't decided. We were on our way to the airport the last day. And I called Larry at the last minute.
Okay.
Larry called you.
Uh-huh.
And you said, "Sure, I'll be there. Just tell them to come on over."
Great.
So we met you there, and that's the last time we went through. By the time we left here, we made an offer. We were like, I thought you were trying to keep it for yourself.
Yeah, well, no, it's interesting to hear this story now 2 years later. I don't think I was aware that that was your first visit to Costa Rica and really your first trip abroad. we're here with Randy and Lisa who made their decision, seeing Playa Junquillal just like that. It's cool. When you were imagining your home abroad, what sorts of things are your home in Costa Rica? Now that you've owned it for 2 years and been down more and more with increasing frequency, what kinds of things are different than you expected, or is it, what things are better or worse?
Well, when I first came down, everybody was really nice, and so, you're thinking that's a fluke. People will be nice, when you're just visiting, but they become nicer, more like family since we've been here, because we basically can walk around anywhere in this area, and we know everybody.
Yeah.
We've been to most of the restaurants, and they know us when we go in. We have like the Eco Lot, we have the, Monchitos, we have, just a bunch of small restaurants around here where we walk in and they know what we're going to drink before we sit down.
Yeah.
Because we've been there. And, I thought that the weather would get old to me, because it's warm in summer. But, the weather is so consistent that, we're outside more than we're in the house. There's so much more to do than we would do at home.
Yeah.
It's February now. We've had 8 days of snow at home.
Yeah.
My daughter's probably going to disown us because that's where she is and we're here. So
Yeah.
send her pictures every now and again.
Yeah, shout out to Brad Blake who sent a picture of snow up to a stop sign this morning from in the Northeast US. Yeah. And also Bud and Lori who are sending pictures of snow and saying, "Oh, we wish we were there." Yeah, I think that tons of people, especially coming from US cities or Canadian cities, anywhere where there's tens and tens of thousands of people, in Guanacaste, even in Tamarindo, which I used to think of as this big city, really there are only a few thousand people who live there year-round. In our community, Playa Junquillal, there are probably, I usually say 300 to 500 year-round residents, but it's really just sort of an estimate. It's such a small community and so wonderfully close-knit that you really get to know everybody, and it feels very much like your family, like you were saying, after a very short time here. And Costa Rican culture is brilliantly open, warm, welcoming, and you see people who, the restaurant you mentioned, for example, Lochitos, they won us over as customers because the first time when they had just opened, we went there with our newborn, and the owner brought out our food and then took our baby for us so that we could eat and walked around like cuddling them. Yeah.
That is perfect.
Yeah. So endless moments like that.
Yeah.
Totally. Do you have anything to add? Reality versus expectation? Is anything different than you expected, or does it seem pretty much like what you dreamed of?
One more thing I want to say before you say that.
Okay.
One of the realities that I found out is that, when I first came down here, I thought it's going to be just slightly different than the way we do things here. I thought, like I went to the doctor here, and that's as pleasant as you can possibly get. It's not all the trouble just going to a doctor. And, we've been to pretty much everything that you could do here. We've done just to see if it was something workable for us.
Okay.
And I'm trying to find stuff I don't like about it. And there's really not a lot that I don't like about it because, we spend a lot of time on the beach. Since we've been here, we pretty much can go anywhere along the beach and sit on a balcony with people to watch sunset. That's what our
We know so many people now. Yeah.
Yeah, we were here the first time that we came down on our own. We were here about 6 weeks or 7 weeks, and I wanted to come here and just rest. She got here, when she got here, she was going to like the little fairs and stuff down there. She was going to all those places and going to potlucks and everything. And so we were getting ready to leave, and I hadn't met very many of the people that she knew. So we were getting ready to leave, and so we decided to go to dinner with a couple of people, and that couple ended up being 14 or 15 people throwing Lisa a birthday party.
Oh.
I know, that was
Day.
amazing.
Yeah, after a month and a half being here. That's great.
Yeah.
Very cool.
So, yeah, it's
I just can't believe how calm it is though, because I actually have high blood pressure. You know, and I've been on blood pressure medicine for the last 8 years. And when I first got here, I was getting lightheaded a lot. I didn't know why. You know, I just thought maybe, my blood pressure was really bad. Well, I had to cut down half my blood pressure medicine because I don't have the normal everyday stresses here, because I get up when I want, I go to bed when I want. There's really nothing that I find that's stressful.
Yeah.
My biggest stress is where am I going to eat tonight?
Yeah.
So.
Absolutely.
plus your medication costs like a quarter of the price.
Yeah.
I've heard that about several different kinds of medication and things that people were, we had a friend that was epileptic, that coming to Costa Rica and living in this super calm environment also helped their condition. Now, obviously, we're not doctors and we're not giving professional health advice, but that's the disclaimer there.
Yeah.
I do hear a lot of people. Yeah, exactly. And I do hear a lot of testimonials that the lifestyle change of slowing down, moving to a place where really you're not stressed out just helps with all kinds of ailments.
Yeah. Also, it's so easy to be active, which is huge because you can maintain your health and your weight so easily because the food here is so fresh and you're not eating all the processed foods that you do back in the States, and you're always doing stuff.
Yeah.
So it doesn't seem like you're having to really try very hard to stay in shape.
I try not to do so.
And you're succeeding, it sounds.
We're always at the beach, and we bought a little boat so that we could go fishing. And so we're constantly just
doing stuff, yeah.
Yeah. And we sit there going, I want to do less.
Yeah.
And I find out I do more stuff here when I go home. Because at home, it's cold, so I sit and watch TV.
Yeah.
Here, there's actually no excuse. I wish they could see outside. There's no excuse.
Yeah, you can imagine what it looks like outside right now. We've got breezes, temperatures in the mid-80s, I would guess.
Yeah.
And that's what we'll have now from December until May. We won't have a single drop of rain, or if we do, maybe a shower or two in April. The dry season really appeals to a lot of people because you can go outside and live outside for 5 straight months, and like you're saying, you go for walks, you go to the beach, you can go fishing, and just actually live an active life, which it's funny, I don't necessarily appreciate that because I haven't been in a winter now for a decade, and in fact, we avoid going back to the U.S. at that time, but it really is a huge asset to not be cooped up in your house, sitting on the couch, watching TV, eating whatever you can find, at the in one trip to the supermarket.
Right.
Great. That's all great things. Do you any other reality versus expectation?
Another reality, I didn't realize how every day is so different. Like you'll go to the beach and it looks different because depending on the tide or the weather or whatever, it's like never the same. So every day is a new adventure.
Great. Yeah, absolutely. Especially with it's incredible the difference in the beach day to day, even the movement of sand. It's you can be walking on a totally different beach.
It's like one beach will have totally different colors and consistency of sand. And you go around the corner to another beach and it's totally different.
Yeah, and that's something that I think we get a lot of questions from people. Oh, is Hunky all good for swimming, or is this place good for surfing? Because all public beaches in Costa Rica are 100% public with guaranteed access, you can just stroll up and down the beach for miles, and if one beach isn't good for swimming, you go up to the next one, and very often you'll find that there's a good cove there, a surf break there, snorkeling at the next one.
Snorkeling at one,
Yeah, so there's beaches for everybody, swimming beaches, good kid beaches. So there's not necessarily that you're ever cooped up in one beach here in Costa Rica. You can just walk to the next one. And one of the things that the government has done really well is guarantee that public access. There's a million different ways to get down to the beach. There will always be public roads as well.
Yeah, I have one expectation. Is, Lisa and I have been living in our house in Ridgewood, Washington, for 19 years, 18, 19 years. And my oldest brother has never visited me at the house. So I invited him to come up here to visit.
Yeah.
He's been here twice.
He's been here twice.
Yeah, this is Kim.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I tease him because I said, you know, you live 2.5 hours away from me. He's in California. And I said, you could fly to my house and, you know, hang out and visit for a while. But you've never done that in 19 years. I said, I've been here, by the time I was here, 1.5 years.
Yeah.
He's been here twice. And, you know, planned another trip like in July when we come down.
Yeah.
He wants to come down then. So I'm sitting there going, so if I would have bought a house here 20 years ago, I'd have seen my brother a whole lot more.
Yeah, absolutely. We even got, in our first year living here, it was almost overbearing. Month after month, someone else would be coming down to visit, which is great, and family and friends are always welcome at our house, but when you start getting a lot of visitors, you know, people just are attracted to Costa Rica.
Yep.
It's a beautiful place to come down and have an adventure, and you do find that you've got a guest room, it will be filled up pretty quickly.
Yeah, we have a partner, which is Ruth Sampson, that we bought the house with.
Uh-huh.
And she's had her brother, his wife, and, you know, all her friends. We've probably never been here where we haven't had guests.
Yeah,
you know,
absolutely.
But, you know, you can't blame them. And everybody that's come to visit us now are looking around trying to find something that they want to, you know, they're trying to get retired so they can get here.
Yeah.
You know, like I was saying, my older brother, he's a personal trainer. So he was looking how he could, you know, incorporate what he does to move down.
Uh-huh. Brilliant. Yeah, so Costa Rica, a beautiful place where you reconnect with family even more so than you might see them where you're currently living.
Mm-hmm.
Very cool observations. I appreciate all your thoughts on that. Were there any challenges when you guys were, you know, you had made an offer, we proceeded through the purchase process, you've now come down several times, outfitted your house to your liking. What challenges have there been along that road?
I don't think there's really been any big challenges, you know. It is kind of scary, you know, to buy a house in another country at first, but you and Larry made it really, really easy and, you know, guided us every step of the way. And I don't know if you've mentioned this, but most of the homes here come furnished, so it's like you don't have to worry about furnishing a house. You know, it's already there. So I really can't say there are any huge challenges.
I really don't have anything that's a big challenge to me when we came down here. It's, I thought, you know, because at home, you know, in the States, the challenge is always when you buy a house. There's always challenges and things to jump through. And it was a little irritating because I came ready to battle with you over there, you know. And I made a lowball offer on a house to Larry. And Larry said, well, I don't know, Randy, because you know, that's not what they're asking, you know, that's way off what they're asking. So he called you, and you called the owners of the house. And they made a counter offer that was just a few thousand more than what my offer was. And I was hoping you would have said something different, like, no, they can't go that. And then I was like, say, you don't have to. But they made the offer.
Continue our search.
Yeah.
They made the offer, you know, that offer was just, it wasn't going back and forth, it was one conversation.
Yeah. It was just really nice.
Before you knew it, you were roped in.
Yeah.
I lost and I won at the same time.
Yeah. No, and in general, I think the essence of moving to Costa Rica and what you're saying is that it can be a super easy process if you pick the right people to work with. If you find some place that just feels absolutely right, and also having known you two personally now for 2 years, I think the other key ingredient is that you're flexible, you're very easygoing, and not very rigid, in your expectations or being forceful.
That is the key,
Yeah.
for sure. Because if I think somebody were to come down here and expect it to be like it is there, and want to force things, they're not going to have a very good time.
Yeah.
You have to be, just
I
kind
think
of
that's the challenge.
follow the flow.
Yeah.
Because, when you're at home, you're used to all the rush, and all the, like, everybody get here and do this now, and I have to have this right this minute. And I think the big challenge is when you get here, you have to be able to put that aside and realize that you're just living, you're not living day to day, you're not living minute to minute. You're just living, most of the time we have no idea what time it is. We judge it by it's either like if it's light and we went to sleep, then it's morning.
Yeah.
If it's light like it is now, it's the day. And when it starts getting dark, that's our night. And like with Lisa, I found out that what we do is we judge what we're going to do by the tide, high tide or low tide. When it's high tide, we go out and we bodyboard, surf, do stuff like that. And when it's low tide, we just kind of do stuff like fishing.
Yeah.
Start
So you are literally going with the flow.
Yeah. Yes.
Yeah, and it's a huge challenge for I think everybody coming from the U.S., Canada, or Europe, countries where things are generally more orderly, efficient, fast-paced, to really come here and relax and allow yourself to live and just sort of move on that rhythm where it's okay if things aren't going to start on time, or it's not the end of the world if something is going to take a little longer than expected. You really have to just relax and enjoy every moment.
And my suggestion would be to tell people to check your anxiety and stress.
Yeah.
When you're no longer there, then when you when you leave, you can pick it up there if you feel like it. But like coming here has made it less stressful for me at home. I realize, it's not that important.
Yeah.
Getting this done right this minute is not that important.
Yeah.
It's not going to kill you. And the best breakfast I've had in a long time was breakfast. Like we were here and they were working on the electricity. So it was going to be out for a few hours, but we got up in the morning and we forgot that that's what they were doing.
Yeah.
And we didn't have electricity for a few hours. And I didn't know how long it was going to be off, so I got up and made a complete breakfast. We had friends visit, and they're like, "Oh, the power's off," and it was like, what are we going to do? Is there anywhere we can go to eat? What's going to happen today? And I made a complete breakfast: eggs, sausage, toast, coffee, out on our gas barbecue.
Brilliant.
That was the best breakfast.
Yeah, absolutely. Adapting when you find out, the power's off, I'm going to grow my breakfast, and smiling about it and enjoying how good it is.
Oh, they said it was the most fun they've ever had.
Yeah.
Breakfast. Because we sat around and talked. He came out and helped me, and we were doing that. We boiled water on the grill. And poured it through a coffee filter.
Yeah, absolutely.
And so they had their coffee. We just kind of enjoyed it. After that, electricity came on 3 minutes after we were done cooking breakfast.
Yeah.
So we laughed about it and we went back down to the beach and we spent a day down there swimming.
Yeah, I remember when we had, there's a time we had to get out of the house at night because we had the army ants. That's another thing that can come through if you've got a cabin house like we do. And so we had to leave, and we were both super frustrated because we were tired and wanted to go to bed. And walking around that night, we saw a collared anteater in our neighborhood. It turned out to be one of the coolest experiences, best things that's happened to us
That's
here.
what happens here. Like if you aren't stuck in a rigid, way, and I got to do this or that. Your best days are the days that just kind of unfold.
Yeah, evolve.
They're not your plans, but something may happen.
I agree.
You go a different direction, you end up meeting somebody that's going to be a friend for,
Yeah, absolutely.
forever, or, it's just kind of go with it.
Yeah.
Go with the flow and,
Absolutely.
yeah.
And that's antithetical to a lot of people's personalities that want their agenda from 8 a.m. to 5 p.m. to be 100% determined and orderly.
Right.
Yeah, very interesting. Whether it's grilling your breakfast or seeing random wildlife, the spontaneity of any little change in the schedule here can really add some spice to life. I agree.
We just go along with life and just have a good time with it.
Yeah.
We've done stuff here that we have absolutely no idea why or how it happened.
Yeah.
Point. Like, we've been driving and we stop and just start looking at stuff.
Yeah.
Or like we go into one day we'll just be sitting here and we'll say, let's run into better thing that happened to us. My brother, when he came down to visit, we decided to go zip line. Because he goes, oh, that sounds fun, let's do that. So we go up there to the zip line, we ended up riding an ox.
Yeah.
We don't ride horses.
Yeah.
We end up riding an ox.
Oh, good for you. Having been here 10 years, I've never tried that, and I don't know if I ever will, but
It was scary for a moment. But,
yeah.
Like the guy that had him, he
Just let you do it.
Well, he encouraged us, and then my brother did it, and I thought, he's watching, and if I don't do it, so I did it myself. And so,
yeah,
and it wasn't so bad. But like him and I was saying earlier, he's a personal trainer, and his way of looking at things is slightly different than me. He was looking at it, and he couldn't believe how much muscle was on that.
This is a fit beast.
Yeah, how strong.
Amazing.
And I was looking at it as, this is big and scary.
Yeah, absolutely. No, they're huge. In this area, ox carts and oxen are still used in a lot of places instead of backhoes or whatever machines people usually have in more developed places. But yeah, I'm glad that's cool that you had that experience. Moving on to do you have any, we've sort of interspersed advice to potential people looking at moving to Costa Rica throughout the interview so far. Do you have other sort of points that you would say to people who are watching right now? If you're considering moving to Costa Rica, do or don't do this or that?
I would say do like Lisa did and research it. Because had she not went through all the research and everything like that, we'd be visiting. We went to Ecuador.
Okay.
So that was the plan. And then the more we started looking at it, like I'd go to work, come home, and she would say, well, this happens in Ecuador and this doesn't happen in Costa Rica. And she was comparing the two. And then we threw a couple of other places like Venezuela. We know what's happening. We know what happened. Where was it that we were looking at? Panama and Nicaragua. We were looking at those places also.
Nicaragua, like when I first started, that was like kind of the new place.
Costa Rica.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
And it's changed so quickly. And so that's why Costa Rica I found was one of the better places because you don't have to worry about government people. It's pretty, there's no military here. It's just kind of like Switzerland.
Switzerland of the Americas.
Yeah. And just the whole, I think that Costa Rica, they're very progressive. People think that they're so far behind us in the United States, and I think they're way ahead because they put family first all the way. And so you can tell they're very into the environment here, which is really important to me. They were one of the first, or the first country to ever go an entire year without using fossil fuel to make electricity. They did it all on geothermal, solar, hydro. So, I mean, that's progressive, right?
Yeah.
That's like super advanced compared to,
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah,
You may see more dirt roads and not quite as much infrastructure in some places, but on other, in other
that's not a
realms.
bad thing.
Yeah.
It's not a bad thing.
Well, you don't see as many, you don't see with the dirt roads and everything. I thought I would hate it, but it makes you slow down and look around.
Yeah.
You don't see a lot of kids or anybody being hit by cars. You
Yeah.
don't see people honking. I was here, this year getting here was the first time that I heard anybody use a horn.
Yeah.
And
Yeah, because everyone's bumping around. Absolutely. And it's interesting to think about that difference because when you do see people getting like road rage and that sort of stuff, it's only on the highways between here and San Jose that they're like weaving and stuff. On the dirt roads around here, it's you're going slow enough. You really sort of appreciate the drive. Say hi to everybody, or if I honk at everybody, say hello.
it's probably you then that honk.
Yeah. Yeah.
And it was a nice one.
Yeah.
No, I haven't had anybody, I haven't found anybody really negative, really. It's not like you say hi to anybody, they don't say hi back.
Yeah.
And it's not like if I need help with something that, it doesn't matter where I go. Where we live, I can ask, the neighbors or the gardeners or anybody that's up in the area to help, and they're willing to step in.
That question from Brad, who's watching. Hi, Brad. Thanks for tuning in. And we also have another question from Agnes. Hey, Agnes and Cornell. Thanks so much for joining us. We'll start with Brad's. Did you find it difficult to adjust to the constant heat? And have you been there? You have been here during the rainy season, to answer Brad's question. How did you find the humidity? So how's it been adjusting to the heat and the humidity of the rainy season?
The first few days you get here is an adjustment. But if you try to make yourself be out in it and stuff instead of pulling up into an air conditioned room, which people that do that.
Yeah.
So they suffer every time they go out.
Yeah.
So it's like if you can just kind of power through those first 2 or 3 days and get used to sweating a little bit.
Yeah.
And your body adjusts, and then you're fine. It's really not a problem.
Did you think it was hard to adjust to the heat?
Actually, I did, it's like, but, during the summer, I'm outside a lot.
Yeah.
I golf, so we're walking, it could be 95 degrees and we're walking on the golf course.
Yeah.
And so I was used to being out in heat. So
Uh-huh.
when I got here, the only thing I noticed is, you would sweat a little bit more. But after 3 or 4 days, when I stopped sweating as much,
Yeah.
it wasn't anything that I thought, but we don't live in air conditioning.
Yeah.
We, open windows. It might be a little warm for the first few days, but you get a little breeze, or if you're really hot, go to the beach or jump in the pool or something like that, but stay outside and you'll find that you acclimate in just no time at all.
Yeah, acclimation through exposure. You gotta vaccinate yourself and just get out in the heat, face the monster, and really, I think what people also subconsciously do is adjust a lot of your routines. No one in Costa Rica is going out and sitting under the sun at midday. People always comment, I thought you'd be tanner, and it's like, well, I avoid the really hot times of the day when the sun is out because it just makes sense here. But yeah, I agree as well. I notice that if I'm in air conditioning, the heat feels so much more brutal than if you're just living in a house with screens, keeping the airflow. You really adjust well.
And I don't mind when it rains.
Yes.
So when we were here, we come the last part of June through mid-August, and we do get to experience some rain. It's not the rainy season, but
We're looking forward to that.
we enjoy it. That's my favorite time of the year, actually.
Yeah.
We call that the little summer in July.
Yeah.
And,
What is it called?
A veranillo. Which is a verano is summer, veranillo is like a small summer.
Oh, yes.
In July, the weather here clears up where our rainy season sort of takes a pause. May, June, we start getting our steady showers, and usually, it's 2 or 3 weeks, but lately it's been getting longer where the rainy season sort of disappears. Everything's still green, there's a
Super
breeze.
beautifully green. It
Yeah.
is so amazing.
Yeah,
And we have the most spectacular thunderstorms.
yeah. Oh,
It's so
yeah.
fun. I just love
Totally.
it. It's so exciting.
Yeah,
But it's funny because she says that, and thunderstorms here compared to thunderstorms in Washington, I can stand out in the rain here and it's warm rain, so it's just like taking a shower.
uh-huh,
In Washington, if it starts raining, I hit for anything that's covered.
It's
Yeah.
miserable.
yeah,
But yeah, here it's refreshing.
Yeah.
So the rain doesn't bother me at all here. Plus, it doesn't rain that long, like it'll rain for a while and then the next day, or even like, I went golfing and we were on the 5th or 6th hole
yeah,
and it poured for about 20 minutes.
uh-huh,
So we sat in the golf carts and talked and, just hung out.
Yep.
And then you could see the blue sky coming and all of a sudden, it's a blue sky. We finished our round and,
yeah.
just kind of hung out at the clubhouse.
And then that's one of the things that makes Guanacaste's rainy season, I think it's different than many people expect in that we don't have monsoon, huge periods where it's just raining constantly outside of September and October, but instead brief little rains in the afternoon that you can hide out in a golf cart and wait till it passes. Yeah, great.
Yeah.
To go to Agnes's questions, do you work Agnes asks, do you work in Costa Rica or did you retire before moving here? What would you say is a basic income required to live comfortably in Costa Rica? And let's go, what percentage, what budget would make you too comfortable here? How are you handling that sort of with your jobs back in the US as you transition to retirement? Am I
Right.
correct?
Right, we are transitioning now. We still have some obligations to fulfill,
Uh-huh.
unfortunately. Otherwise, we would be here all the time.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Estimate as to what a livable budget would be for you two in a month? Do you track that or?
We kind of talk about it. I would say because our home is paid for, we really don't have a whole lot of expenses other than we do rent a car when we're here, so that would be our largest expense.
Okay.
And so we do plan on buying a car once we are here more.
But it's not cost effective to buy a car when it's
Yeah.
six
Yeah.
months. So we'd rather just rent, that way if we have an issue with the car, just take it back, take it to the car.
Yeah.
So that's working for us really well right now. But I think, two people, I think, could live pretty comfortably on
Yeah, I think with a home paid for, perhaps not having a car, not including that car rental, 1,500 to 2,000 would really provide
we would live very well.
everything. Yeah.
That's
Without
going out
rent.
to eat,
Yeah.
every other night or something.
And the rent here's not that bad anyway. I mean, we have some friends that we met here and they were renting a place. And, what was that little green place that's down there? 2-3 bedrooms. It was like $700 a month or something.
Uh-huh.
So I mean,
The house over here in
yeah,
Jackson.
even if you don't buy it, you rent something long term for, $700 a month. And what we found is the taxes that I pay on the house here, which is considerably larger than the house that we have at home. And the taxes we pay on it's like $700-800 for 2 months at home. That's what it cost me for a year here.
Yeah. The property tax rate in Costa Rica for fee simple titled property, which is everything inland, is 0.25% of the tax assessed value. And yeah, so it's almost ridiculous how little that amount can be when you're looking at even a very nice home that's assessed well. You could be paying $1,000 a year, $500 for a very large home. And that's another one of the reasons I think a lot of expats are attracted to Costa Rica that minimal cost of keeping the property. Now, obviously, in the beachfront area, in the Zona Marítima Terrestre, tax rates are different if you're on a concession property, but 99.999% of property in Costa Rica is titled and has that 0.25% rate, unless you get a luxury property above some range of 750,000, or it starts to tick up gradually from 0.25.
Right.
Yeah.
But I mean, it's like when we combine everything, for a cost of living here.
Oh, I'm sorry. Now I'm just scrolling down, Bob. I see your comment that we've got bad audio, so I'm going to hold our microphone closest to us. So I'll go ahead and hold it. We had another question. Hopefully it'll be better now, and I know Lisa and Randy have a much more polite volume than I do.
Well, we can lose that, but we only use that when we're in the United States.
Yeah, absolutely. We've got another question from Mason Jar, which is a code name for somebody I'm not going to mention. Curious about the residency question. Have you two gotten your residency? Are you interested in pursuing it?
No, not really.
We haven't, and maybe once we're here full time for a while, it might be something we'll be interested in.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
But we've talked to so many different people that are here, and you can stay here 3 months before you have to leave the country, and but a lot of people they might go take a day trip and go to Nicaragua. It's only a couple of hours away.
Yeah.
And they go over and they might go shopping or visiting, then they come back. And there's people that's been living here 8 to 10 years that's how they deal with it.
Yeah.
Because, one day out of every 3 months, I'm sure anybody has that.
Yeah, the tourist visa that you're talking about is a 90-day visa. It doesn't enable you to work legally in Costa Rica, but you do meet a lot of people who spend years and years spending 3 months at a time here, making a day trip up to Nicaragua, which even today I've heard is going up to the border is fine. People don't feel unsafe going up there for a quick trip. And some people do this for decades, just renew their tourist visa over and over and over again. And if you're not planning on working or opening a business, really you can do virtually anything you need to as a non-resident on a tourist visa. You can own property, you can have utility bills in your name, all this stuff. Not actually, there's an exception to that, but you can functionally live here without getting your residency. So I think you'd meet a lot of people who are in that situation. I want to make sure we also had another question from Agnes and Cornell. How often do you visit your home country during a year? Do you also rent your house when you are not in Costa Rica? And her question was about permanent residency, so we touched on that. And let's address the first questions here. How often do you visit Washington, and do you rent your house while you're gone?
The house in Washington or here?
Here.
Well, we have been here since November 8th. Then we went home for 5 or 6 days, and then we came, that was in, when did we?
It was in January.
In January, we went home for 5 or 6 days. Then we just came back and we spent another few weeks here. But for the most part, what our schedule is, we come in between end of June, first part of July, and we stay for 7 weeks. And then we come back, we go home.
November.
Then we come back here again in November, and we stay until normally January or February. Or else if we have some friends that want to come down and we have some time off, we just, come down with them.
Yep.
Yeah. So, and we do rent our house out. Yeah, when we're not here.
How has that gone for you so far?
It's going good.
We have a great property manager, and we don't do anything.
Yeah, she takes care of everything.
She does all this stuff. We just,
all
we do is make a phone call and stay out of her way.
Yes.
Yeah. So yeah, that's been
Because we're here to screw it up for her.
And full disclosure, Randy and Lisa are working with Anne Marie, my beautiful wife, Latitude 10 Costa Rica Rentals and Real Estate. There are lots of property managers here in Costa Rica, and I think that no matter where somebody moves, Anne Marie works here in Junquillal, but any community will have people like her who are essentially able to help expats that are doing this transition with hands-free home caretaking, you know, where essentially you make a phone call or once in a while you get an email saying, here's your monthly statement on the income and expenses if you're renting your property. And so really, you know, there's this entire industry here of people that are trying to help make it easy for you to transition from the US or Canada or Europe to living down here. So if maybe you're not ready to retire right now and you're in a transition like Randy and Lisa, you can just lock your house, leave it for a couple of months, perhaps rent it out on Airbnb to make a little money and pay your HOA fees, but really not have to worry about it while you're gone or have this extra stress added to your life that you've got a home down in Costa Rica.
It's been very easy. Very easy. I've been so pleasantly surprised about that part. And
Good.
I feel spoiled actually by Anne-Marie because she does such a great job. And
Yeah, she takes, she makes sure that, you know, when we leave here, you know, she has her people that work for her that come in and clean the house.
Yep.
Yeah.
She manages the day-to-day gardening and everything that goes over there. She has her people over getting the gardening done. While we were gone, we were having the house painted and everything, and she would periodically go up and check on the project that they were doing for us. And so I felt, you know, safe, you know, being in the United States and having her take care of, you know, all of that stuff. We didn't have to, she took the worry out of it for us. So we were able to just go ahead and just, you know, go home, work really hard so that we could come back out here.
Yep.
And we got here, and before we got here, she knew when we were coming in. So before we got here, she had the house cleaners tidy everything up. Everything looked great. Beds were ready. So we got in, it's when we came in about 4:30 one day, and we didn't get home. We went shopping because when we get here, we go to the store, shop, and then come home. So we got here after dark. All we had to do is put groceries away and go to bed. And that worked out great for us because we get up the next day and we look at the house to see, you know, the whole entire house was painted. So we looked to see how the house looked. The gardeners had just been there. So, you know, we go outside and everything was pristine, and we were ready to, you know, start our vacation without having to do all the hassle of getting here, trying to make sure everything was done, you know, cleaning, doing our laundry, all that stuff.
Yep.
We just walked into vacation without, you know, any stress.
Great. Glad to hear such a nice experience. Another question that Agnes had, what were the reasons, we had addressed it a little bit in the beginning of the interview. You were looking to find a place outside of Washington because looking for sunshine and beaches and better weather. Did you have other motivation to look for a place outside of the U.S.?
Actually, we didn't, because you know, we've had a choice. There we could go to, because we've been going to Hawaii for a lot of years. And to me, that was so commercialized. You know, I don't like being where, if I wanted to go to a big city and be around a lot of people, I could stay home.
Yeah.
And so I wanted to go somewhere where it wasn't just so crowded that I'm stepping over people. And we were sold the first time after we bought the house, we were sold on this area because one day we just decided to go for a walk on the beach. And we walked maybe a mile and a half, and didn't see another person on the beach.
Yeah.
And so I'm thinking, where in Hawaii could we have ever went and not stepped over people to get to the water to get back?
Yeah.
And, you know, we figured out that you don't have to have the everyday stresses of a lot of people around you to enjoy yourself. And so we learned how to communicate with each other and talk to each other and do more stuff, you know, together than, you know, like we do at home. Because at home, I'm in the TV room, she's in the kitchen, or she's in the bedroom, or I'm in the bedroom and she's outside, and that's how we learned to spend our time because, we had 2 girls. They're grown up now, but during the time of raising your kids, you're spending very little time together. So when you actually do retire, it's almost like having to learn who you're living with again. Because you have no idea what you're doing or what they're doing or what they like or what you like because you spend all your time learning what the kids like and, running them to, their sports practices and making sure they go shopping and checking on their school. And then you 2 working, if you work in different places, you're so much out there doing other things that getting here, you get to discover the person that you marry, the person that you spend, you want to spend your life with. And a lot of people don't go on vacation and learn that about themselves. And when we were in Hawaii, we learned absolutely nothing about ourselves.
Yeah.
We went because that's where a lot of our friends went. And so we'd go there and it was like Groundhog's Day every time, nothing new. Every year we'd go there the same time of year, we'd do the same things every year. And finally I told Lisa one day, I said, we got to do something different. Let's go see somewhere else.
Yeah.
And that was our catalyst to go see somewhere else.
Yep.
As soon as we got here, this was somewhere else. But every time we're here, we see something that we haven't seen before. We go somewhere we haven't been before.
Yeah.
We've done so much here that,
there's so much to do
learning.
here.
Yeah.
We could be here for 50 years and not see everything. Because there's 140 waterfalls or something.
I have no idea.
That's what the locals tell us.
Yeah.
So we go to different places and they say, yeah, there's 140 waterfalls. How many have you seen? And we're like, 1.
2. Yeah.
Very interesting. No, and that's great. Your comment about sort of growing and actually getting to know each other when you're visiting here. I think some people find they come down and this kind of vacation seems boring or just like it's going to be really not what they're used to at all because you want to, you go to Disneyland and it's a different park every day and you have entertainment thrown at your face every 5 minutes. Here you spend a lot of time with the people you're with and just doing really simple stuff where you actually get to enjoy each other's company instead of, watching something or really not engaging with each other. So
well, here you have to talk.
Yeah.
We actually have to talk to each other because we bought TVs when we first came down because we thought we'd spend, I'm used to that at home. So we thought we'd be spending our time watching TV. And then we found out we're probably one of the few people here that have TV. And
we haven't even turned it on at all this time we've been here.
Yeah, our TV, we have 2 big TVs, like a 40-inch and a 40 and a 45-inch TV.
Yeah.
And now they're just good paperweights. And, like I said, we were thinking we could put something in front of them because we rarely have ever turned the TVs on, and I don't notice that until I get home.
Yeah.
And then, but here we talk to each other, we figure out, what we're going to do. We go to dinner and, hang out with our friends at dinner. We sit on somebody's, veranda and watch sunsets. We just do a lot of stuff like that. So we're not really in the house as much as we are at home.
Yeah.
We're elsewhere.
Great comments. And I notice it too now when we go back to the US, especially with the TVs. There are some days where you feel like no matter where you're looking, you step off the airplane and there's a big TV, and then you go to a restaurant and there's a big TV, and then you're eating in someone's home kitchen and there's, it's just like, and you really don't have to talk to people. It's sort of like people are constantly filling the time with something else instead of just sitting around.
True.
Yeah.
When we bring our daughter, she's one big on social media and everything. I mean, she's 22. That's life.
Yeah.
But when we're coming down here, when we go to Hawaii, she puts on headphones and all of this, and she's in her own world. Well, when we come down here, she on the plane, there's no headphones.
Yeah.
She talks to us about what are we going to do and where are we going to go, and when are we going to be there. She might fall asleep, but her focus is what are we going to do here. And we thought she wanted to bring her friends out, because she's been coming since she was 20, and we thought that she was going to want to do something like hang out with friends or go places. And we love her, but we couldn't get rid of her. Hang out with us. And I'm thinking, why don't, she's 20. You think she want to go do other stuff. She didn't even want to bring her friends. She just wanted to hang out with her family.
Yeah.
She said, I really never got to talk to you guys and do stuff at home. And so when she came here, we went to dinners together. She went with her and Lisa would go visiting people and do stuff like that.
Yeah.
Paddleboarding,
They would go paddleboarding and surfing and stuff like that. Sometimes I went golfing. But, it's like we would have our dinners together. We have a screen porch with a big table.
Yeah.
And that's where we were every night. Like, do our stuff during the day. And it was different from what we're used to, because we do what we do during the day here. But at night, about 4:30, 5 o'clock, we're all sitting around the table and we're discussing what happened during the day. We're talking about, like she likes iguanas. So she talked to us about the iguanas and everything. She named every animal, bug, or bat or anything around the house. Everything had a name. So she would tell us stuff that they did or where she saw it or they were doing this. And that's what our day was like. So we got to actually know her.
Yeah, absolutely. I think that's something special that Hunky-All or communities like this really offer. In a bigger tourism hub, you might find that people are more distracted. But even still, just Costa Rica in general brings people, back to reality in a lot of ways. And there's so much more opportunity to connect with people that it's awesome speaking with you guys, because I've sort of forgotten a lot of this, over the last 10 years. It's day to day for me, but realizing what the real differences are, especially for people who are sort of transitioning, it's very cool to talk about.
The only thing I would add is, if you can, learn a little Spanish. You don't have to know much to navigate around here. We really didn't know any. We got here, and now I speak enough to talk to, like the people at the store and, the butcher department and everything.
Yeah.
And they help because, one quick story, they took, I went to buy, was it fish? And the guy wouldn't sell it to me until I could say what it was. And so
they like to.
he was joking with me, but he told me, he said, he goes, what is it?
Yeah.
And he said, say it in Spanish. And he wanted me to teach him a little English, and I wanted him to teach me a little Spanish. So every time we'd go in there, he'd ask me what something was. He'd hold up like fish.
Yeah.
And he'd point at it. And so
cool.
Finally I had to go home and learn what fish was. It was just pescado.
Yeah.
And I had to learn that beef is carne.
Yeah.
And I had to learn that pork is cerdo. And so I had to learn those to order anything from him. So I go in there and he'd hold it up and then start laughing.
Yeah.
Because it's like, you should have it by now. And so, they help, and it's not like they're impatient with you. They'll teach you what you need to know. But
even if you don't know Spanish, don't let that be
deter you.
Right? Exactly, because the people here are very patient, and they, like Randy said, they want to learn English too. So it's kind of
and
like
a lot of them do speak
mutual
English.
thing.
Yeah, they're bilingual, so they.
Yeah, you can totally manage.
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
We had a question about taxes. I'm gonna handle that directly with you, Mason Jar, at a later date. I think that, especially on rental question, that's something that we could address probably in another episode of Costa Rica FAQ. There was another question for the value of the home. Looking at just reading Brad's most recent electricity. Yeah, Brad, you're absolutely right. He brought up a good point about cost of living here, that even if you are using air conditioning and your electric bill is going up, you're saving money on the other end by not paying for heating. Thanks for your comments, Brad, and thanks for your comment as well, Mason. I'll send you an email about that so that you got the information, then we can talk more specifically about rentals in a future chapter. I think the last question for Randy and Lisa, so for everybody watching today, we've talked a lot about the different your experience, aspects of moving here. I think the answer is obvious, but you recommend moving to Costa Rica?
Absolutely. No question.
I can't speak for everybody, but if you can't live here, you probably can't live anywhere on the planet. You know, it's probably the best place I've ever been, and I've never wanted to move out of the United States.
Yeah.
I said to myself, I would, you know, like I was born here, my family's here, this is where, you know, I'll be the rest of my life. But we got here, and most of my family had said the same thing. Now they're looking at, you know, I have a brother and a sister that are looking at coming down here. We have a bunch of friends that are looking at coming down here. And, you know, we have friends from Canada that have, you know, we had come down to stay at our house.
Yeah.
And she's been looking for a place down here that she wants to live down here. So if you can't, I mean, there's mountain areas as well as beach areas. So if you can't find somewhere down here that you like, that you can, has the climate for you that you can live, then, you know, I would just suggest that you stay where you are and leave it to the people that really want to enjoy life and experience a lot of different things.
Yeah, I think there is something for everybody here. You probably find some people who aren't going to be as happy as you two have been moving here. We talked about your flexibility, your willingness to go with the flow. You're people who have enjoyed slowing down and spending more time talking and really not having quite as much exposure to TV and movies and all that stuff, and more exposure to beaches and fishing and going with the flow. I do think that there are probably people in Manhattan who could never ever fathom living in the kind of place that Costa Rica is, or there are high-powered business executives who would go insane waiting in line at the post office here, you know, that sort of thing. But it is a place that offers a wonderful quality of life for people, and that I'm really happy that you guys have found that quality of life, that after 2 years you sound only thrilled that you made the decision. I think it's awesome that you came to Junquillal. You stuck here without having to find anywhere else. To me, there's this particular community does that, and there are spots in Guanacaste all up and down the coast that just, you know, people stick to it like flies on flypaper, because you know, you just arrive and get the feeling that it's home, that it's exactly what you wanted. And you know, it may not be for everybody, but when you get that feeling, it's great that you two just went with it. I'm super thankful. I'm grateful having represented a seller that sold you your home. I'm super grateful that you're property management clients for my wife, Anne Marie. That's wonderful as well. And I'm also super thankful that you were willing to join me, sit on Facebook for an hour and 8 minutes here and tell our audience all about your experience. I really appreciate it, and all your insight and comments have been absolutely wonderful. So thank you on many, many levels. I appreciate it, Randy and Lisa.
It's been a pleasure. I mean, it's like you guys have been here, you know, we got to see a lot of things. Like we watched you guys move into your office.
Oh, yeah.
You know, we watched, you know, Lisa, you know, decided, you know, Lisa's an artist, so she teaches your son, you know, art.
Yeah, I was going to say, Randy, do go grab a painting really quickly for the people here in Junquillal. We're going to do a promo here. If you live in...
You just grab them.
Yeah, just grab a small one. If you live in or near Junquillal, or if you plan on visiting in the future, Lisa is a spectacular artist who's creating really nice paintings focused on, you know, most of it's all Costa Rica. Looking at our wall over here, we've got pelicans on a wave, a little painting of our office by the beach, a turtle in the sunset, a turtle in the ocean. I would definitely recommend, if you're looking for something special to remember a trip to Junquillal or to Costa Rica, Lisa's paintings are a delightful way to do that. You can send me a private message or an email if you'd be at all interested. We've had Q&As throughout. Again, if you want to get in touch with me about anything you've seen in this video, a follow-up question, if you'd even like to ask Randy and Lisa something, if you're watching on YouTube, which will be after the live broadcast, you can send me an email at matt@cbtamarindo.com. I'll be happy to respond, and maybe Randy and Lisa, if they get any questions, they're pretty open and friendly people, as you've seen.
We'd be happy to answer questions.
Great.
One thing I have to add is call Matt if you have any questions, because that's what we did when we were looking to buy a house. You know, like when we couldn't get a hold of Larry, and they're both great because Larry would say, call Matt. You know,
Yeah.
Matt would say, well, ask Larry.
Yeah.
And, which is good because they weren't competing against each other, they were working together.
Yeah.
And so it made the experience so much better, not having to worry about upsetting one of the guys while you're trying to work with, both guys. So they basically worked with us, and I thought it was great.
Yeah.
We really appreciate that because that took a whole lot of stress off of us.
Yeah, and that's thank you. If anything, comparing different real estate offices in the area, of which there are many, many options. Coldwell Banker Tamarindo, one of the things that sets us apart is the real cohesive team effort. I feel so comfortable leaving my clients with working with Larry or someone else from the office, and everybody pitching in together. In this region, typically you see people who are just absolutely cutthroat and very individualistic. Lots of offices where it's every man or woman for themselves and no one pitching in 5 minutes of their time to help anybody else in their office out. And since joining Coldwell Banker a year and a half ago, one of the biggest surprises for me has been just how welcoming and how much of a teamwork effort it is in an industry that's usually sort of, you're working for yourself, you're your own business person. And Larry Graziano, my colleague, has been so collaborative from the start in helping me learn, helping me grow, and also just being willing to help give his time to my clients, even times when he's not going to make money or whatever's going on. And that's something that really is refreshingly different, I think, especially in Tamarindo.
We found that out because for a little while I thought you sold us the house. Even though Larry sold us the house. But even though Larry sold us the house, he would defer things to you because you were right here where we were.
Yeah.
And you never said you wouldn't help us or anything like that. In fact, it wasn't even you that referred your wife to us as a property manager, it was Larry.
Oh, yeah.
So that worked out great because it's not like you sold us just the house, you sold us a lifestyle, which is living here, doing all the things that we had to do. Anne-Marie has held Lisa and I's hand through many of things that we're trying to get done at the house. When we change our mind, we want to do this, she was there for us. So it's not like you guys sold us a house and disappeared.
Yeah.
You sold us a house as if you were selling it to a family member because you knew you'd be seeing us all the time.
Yeah.
So it wasn't just to sell a house.
Yeah, that's we're not looking for clients, we're looking for neighbors. And that's in a small community like this, it's very much on my mind in showing people around. Do I want this person to be one of the 300 people that live in Junquillal that I'm going to see at restaurants and possibly end up working with on future transactions or through property management? And really in this kind of community, I love the fact that everyone that starts out as a client becomes a friend, a neighbor, my son's art teacher, all kinds of things. Lisa's been giving weekly or bi-weekly, when she's in town, showing my 4-year-old how to paint.
He's a natural.
Yeah.
I think he's Bob Ross reincarnated.
Yes, absolutely.
He's so adorable.
Yeah. So plug for the kids as well. Anyway, with that, we will go ahead and wrap up for today. Again, I am so grateful you two came very much. Thanks on all those levels that I previously mentioned Thanks to everyone who watched and participated. Really enjoyed having questions. Sorry we had audio issues. I'm still learning tech stuff. That's why I'm sitting here with an iPad, literally scrolling through a PDF. Anyhow, again, my name is Matt Rosensteel. I work with Coldwell Banker, Tamarindo Realty. Randy and Lisa, thank you very much for joining us here at the offices of Latitude 10 in Playa Junquial, Costa Rica. Take care, have a great day, pura vida, and see you soon.